I need my headphones. Hello, hello, hello. It has been a crazy couple minutes trying to get this live going, and I hope all is well with you on this Sunday. So, today we're talking about numbing isn't rest, it isn't laziness either, it's protection. And I'm really excited to dive into this today. So if you are joining me, let me know that you're here. Let me know that you can see me. Um, Let me know where you're joining from. And I'm just trying to set up everything so I don't miss any comments. Yeah, so we are here. Happy Sunday. So this training is for the woman who isn't falling apart. But she's not really here either. She's functioning, she's smiling, she's posting, she's even productive on the outside. But on the inside, she's stuck in autopilot, scrolling, shopping, snacking, smoking, binge watching, overworking. Not because she's lazy, not because she's unmotivated, but because feeling everything feels like a threat. So, this training is for the woman who knows she's numbing. She just doesn't know how to stop without breaking because the moment she slows down, the creeps in, the anger bubbles up, the loneliness stretches her open wide, and no one has taught her what to do with that. She's the strong one who carries it all, the friend with all the advice, the fixer, the high achiever, the one that looks like she has got it all together, but she is barely hanging on inside. Because stillness is scary when your nervous system doesn't know peace, when your body is used to chaos, when your brain has been trained to shut down instead of feel. It's not about judgment, it's all about survival because numbing is a trauma response. It is what your body learned to do when feeling wasn't safe. When you were taught to toughen up, to push through, to stop being sensitive, to stop crying, or you get something to cry about. But here's the truth: you're not broken for disassociating, you're brilliant for surviving. And tonight we're pulling back the curtain. We're going to unpack what numbing actually is and why it shows up when it does. We're going to break down the trauma roots of emotional avoidance because that is what numbing truly is. And we're going to teach you how to gently, safely come back into your body without falling apart because you were meant to live a connected life, right? You deserve more than just functioning. You deserve to feel peace, not just chase productivity. You deserve to feel your feelings, not fear them. And tonight, I'm going to help you take that first step. So, if you're ready to stop living in emotional airplane mode, I want you to stick around. We're not just going to talk about it, we're going to walk you into a new way of being where you don't have to numb to survive anymore. So, if this is your first time joining me, my name is Letitia. I'm the Survival Mode Disruptor. I am a trauma recovery mentor that facilitates disruptive, unapologetic transformations for high achieving women who are ready to exit survival mode and take radical ownership of their lives and their growth. Yeah, I love having conversations around the residual impacts of trauma. I love having conversations about working through trauma and getting out of survival mode. And if you've been rocking with me for a while, then you already know we don't do surface level healing over here. We go deep, we go raw, we get real uncomfortable in the name of truth, transformation, and disrupting every damn pattern that is keeping us stuck. So let's get real right out of the gate. Numbing isn't weakness. It's a nervous system survival skill. It's not laziness, it's not avoidance, it's not protection. It is protection. If you have ever felt like you're just floating through life, like you're performing instead of living, like you're present and not really here, that's not dysfunction, sis. That is your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do to keep you safe. Numbing is what happens when your body doesn't know how to process what you feel. So it shuts the whole system down. It's like a reset on your computer. It's not always obvious, like substance use or blackouts. No, the high functioning woman, she numbs pretty. She numbs while getting everything done. She numbs while raising babies and hitting deadlines. She numbs while her makeup is flawless and her planner is full. She is the strong friend, the dependable one, the one that looks so capable. Meanwhile, she hasn't felt anything real in weeks. Because if she slows down, if she feels, the floodgates might open. And she's terrified that she won't be able to make it out of that storm. So let's talk about what numbing actually looks like for high achieving women in survival mode. Because it's not always obvious and it's often socially acceptable, even praise. So let's call them out. Let's talk about the wine. It's just a glass to take the edge off until you can't sleep without it. Let's talk about the work. I just love what I do, but you panic in silence when you have an unplanned free hour. Let's talk about being busy. I'm just a go getter, but your calendar is packed so you never have to sit with yourself. Let's talk about the boys. We're just talking. But deep down, you know, it's easier to be wanted than to be with yourself. Let's talk about the binging. Food, shows, YouTube, scrolling. If you're honest, it's not rest, it's just an escape. So you are so good at looking like you have it together while you're quietly falling apart because chaos becomes comfort, because numbing becomes normal, and you've mastered the art of surviving without ever have to be fully there. But here's the truth. You cannot heal what you constantly escape from. And there is a big difference between numbing and rest. So let's make that distinction loud and clear. Rest is restorative, while numbing is avoidant. Rest fills up your cup, while numbing helps you forget that your cup is shattered. Rest says, I'm worthy of slowing down. Numbing says, if I stop moving, the pain will swallow me. And here's how you can tell the difference. When you're numbing, you feel nourished. When you're resting, you feel nourished. When you're numbing, you feel disconnected. When you're resting, it leaves you feeling refreshed. But when you're numbing, it leaves you feeling foggy and guilty. When you rest, you choose it intentionally. When you're numbing, it happens automatically. When you're resting, you're aware of your body. When you are numbing, you are disassociated from it. And we often glamorize hustle and misdiagnose exhaustion. We mistaken checking out for self care. But I want to remind you The reason why you're in this group or the reason why you're catching these lives is because survival mode isn't sustainable. And eventually your body will demand your attention. So I want to pause right now. I want you to take a breath and I want you to ask yourself and then write this down. As you know, if you've joined these lives frequently, I tell you to bring your journal, bring some notes, bring a pen so that you can write down the questions that I give you throughout the training so that you can go back and really dig into it. So I want you to ask yourself, when I slow down, what feeling shows up first? Is it sadness? Is it fear? Is it guilt? Is it emptiness? I want you to be honest with yourself because whatever that is, that first emotion that you feel when you stop, that is what you are running from. That is the wound that you are numbing and trying to protect yourself from. That is what we get to face together, gently, with grace, and without shame. So, I want to talk about the emotional cost of avoidance. What you suppress doesn't go away. It doesn't dissolve. It doesn't forget you. It simmers. It festers. It becomes tension in your jaw, pressure in your chest. It's your migraines, your gut issues, your broken sleep, the anxiety that doesn't have a name. Sis, you don't just move on from what your body never got to process. Avoidance isn't closure, it is postponed pain. And the longer you avoid it, the louder it gets. So let's examine what avoidance actually costs you. Avoidance might protect you from pain in the short term, but in the long term, it costs you everything. It costs you your connection with your body. You stop feeling your intuition. You override your yes. You ignore your no. It costs you emotional depth. You start living on autopilot. You don't feel the lows, but you also don't feel the highs either. Joy feels so far away. Peace feels suspicious. Love feels terrifying. It costs you your authenticity. You become the master of performance instead of being. You wear masks so well that you forget what your real face feels like. Yeah, that's the cost of numbing. It costs you presence. You are always future tipping or past hunted, never grounded in the now. Because avoidance isn't neutral, it's emotional constipation. And eventually your body will demand a release. That breakdown you keep fearing, that weakness, that wisdom, yeah, it's a pressure valve saying, I can't hold this anymore. So I want you to be able to recognize the signs that you've normalized emotional disconnection. Some of you don't even know that you're emotionally numb. You have gotten really good at being fine. So let me call out the sneaky signs of chronic emotional avoidance. Number one is over explaining instead of feeling. You go straight into logic, straight into strategy, straight into performance because sitting with a raw emotion is terrifying. You defend your feelings instead of expressing them. You intellectualize the pain instead of feeling it. I know I shouldn't feel this way, but I get that I'm being dramatic, but I'm just tired. That's all. I know you guys have heard yourself say something along these lines. And if you have, you know how to explain pain. but do you know how to sit with it? Number two is saying I'm fine when your body is screaming. Your throat is tight, your stomach is in knots, your shoulders are up to your ears, but you smile and you say, I'm good. Because honesty makes it feel real. Hello, Elsa. And you've convinced yourself that being strong means being silent. Number three, needing constant noise or distraction. You can't have silence, not even in the car, not even in the shower, not even before bed. There's always music, TV, a podcast, something to scroll, a snack, something. Because the minute it gets quiet, the feelings start tapping on the door, and you're afraid that if you let one in, they're gonna all come crashing in like a flood. But here's the truth: discomfort is not danger, feeling isn't failure, and silence isn't unsafe. You just have never been taught how to hold yourself without escaping yourself. So let's get honest again for a second. I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to put your hand on your chest. I want you to close your eyes if you need to. And then I want you to answer this truthfully. Write it down if you need to come back to it. What feeling do I fear will swallow me whole if I stop running? Is it grief? Is it anger? Is it abandonment? Loneliness? Rage? I want you to name it. I want you to claim it. You don't need to fix it right now, but you do need to stop pretending like it's not there. Avoidance doesn't heal you, it just delays your freedom. And you, my love, were never meant to live in an emotional exile. Okay? So now I want to talk about 1 second. Now I want to talk about learning to sit with what you used to run from. So real talk before we begin, let's not sugarcoat it. Healing hurts before it helps. Because for most of us, especially those raised in survival mode, sitting still with a hard feeling feels like danger. You weren't taught to feel, you were taught to cope, to push through, to smile, to stay productive, to stay out of the way. And when that doesn't work, you learned to run. So you run from discomfort, you run from grief, you run from anger. In fact, you run from your damn self. But here's the truth: what you run from earns you, what you sit with heals you. So let's talk about how we actually start sitting in on our emotions without overwhelming our nervous system. So that is what we call rewiring your nervous system to feel again. You can't logic your way through a trauma response. It isn't about being dramatic or being weak. This is your nervous system doing what it's wired to do: protect you from pain. And here's how it works: your body detects discomfort, your brain detects discomfort, your body interprets it as a threat. So you either fight, flee, freeze, or fawn, right? Those are the primary survival um, mechanisms that we use. So even something as small as setting a boundary or feeling safe, feeling sadness can activate a survival response because your body remembers what it feels like when emotion meant danger. So what do? You numb, you scroll, you fix, you clean, you help others, you disappear into busyness. But here's the invitation. Can you stay instead of escape? Even if it's for 30 seconds longer than usual. Because this is how we start rewiring. And if you've been with me for a while, you know that I often talk that there are three phases of accident survival mode. First is awareness, which is why I have you doing these journal prompts throughout the training. Second is reprogramming, and third is a reinvention. And we're talking about the reprogramming right here. And we're not doing it through force. We're not doing it through shame, but we're doing it through a gentle re entry into the parts of yourself that you have been avoiding. So, here are some safe tools for re entering into an emotional body. Um, this is your healing starting pack, if you like. These aren't about doing it right. It's about reminding your body that feeling is not fatal. So the number one thing is breath work. And this is something that I work on with my one-to-one clients. This is regulating before you relate. So when that feeling rises, I want you to pause. Don't think about it. Just breathe slowly and deeply. Inhale through your nose for 4, hold for 4, and then exhale through your mouth for 6. And you do that on repeat. In for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. You are telling your body that we are safe now. The second is journaling, and that's exactly why I give you these journal prompts through these training. This is about naming the emotions. Not I'm overwhelmed, not I'm fine, but I feel like I might be rejected if I say this, or I feel scared of being abandoned if I slow down. I want you to be specific, yet be tender with yourself. The third is movement. Get it out of your body. We have learned through research that humans are the only ones that really store trauma, right? A deer gets hit by a car, and if it doesn't die, it gets up and it shakes it off and then will run right back into the trees. So we need to learn how to harness our movement. Hello, Lacole. Thank you for joining us. So I want you to practice shaking and stretching and dancing. And if you're mad, maybe it means ponding a pillow or going for a walk. Let that energy move, because emotions that stay stuck, they become symptoms. So we're going to do something guided. This is again work that I would do with my one-to-one clients. We touch on it a little bit in the membership, but I'm going to try it with you right now. So I want you to find a quiet spot and do that as long as you're not driving. And I want you to sit still. I want you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. I want you to put your hand on your heart or on your belly. And I want you to ask yourself gently, what am I feeling right now? Don't overthink it. I want you to reflect on whether or not it feels heavy. Do you feel any tightness in your throat? Is anxiety buzzing in your chest? Are tears sitting just below that surface? Now, I want you to breathe into it. Say to yourself, this feeling is here and I am safe. This feeling is here and I am safe. You're not here to fix the feeling. You're here to feel it, to sit with it, to stay. One of my podcast guests said, Healing is in feeling, right? You're practicing not to abandon yourself when discomfort arises, when you are able to sit with the emotion that you're feeling. And that's the revolution. That is what gives you the freedom from numbing yourself, ignoring those emotions. This is something that you may not be aware of. Emotions only physically last for 90 seconds in the body unless you feed them with your thoughts. That means if you feel grief or anger rising, your job isn't to suppress it or solve it, it is to stay with it for just 90 seconds. Let it rise, then shake it out, let it move. And then it's as simple as that, it passes. And of course, early trauma may make it feel longer, but practice builds capacity. Capacity builds safety. And safety, that's the antidote for numbingness. So, again, when you're feeling those feelings, I want you to pause. I want you to breathe. I want you to acknowledge it rather than ignore it, rather than stuff it, rather than try to solve the problem. Because I need you to understand why this matters. You can selectively numb. When you numb pain, you also numb joy. When you disconnect from grief, you also disconnect from love. When you tune out your anger, you lose your aliveness. And you deserve the full spectrum of your humanity: the rage, the softness, the ache, the giggle, the desire, the hope. The full spectrum begins when you're willing to stay with your emotions, to sit with it, to breathe it, to feel it, and not to numb. Okay? So, how do we move from numbed to nourish? Feeling doesn't mean falling apart. And I think that's important for us to recognize. It means waking up. And waking up isn't always pretty. It is messy, it's inconvenient, it's uncomfortable, and it's real. But numbness, that's not peace. That's just pain on mute. So, this part of the journey is about learning how to nourish yourself instead of numbing yourself, how to listen to what your body actually needs before you disappear into your favorite escape route. This is not about escaping because you feel bad or because you are bad. It's because escaping doesn't hold you and you deserve to be held. So there's a cycle of numbing versus nourishing, and I'm going to just break it down for you real quick. Most numbing habits follow this cycle: trigger, discomfort, urge, escape, shame, repeat. So, an example of this, you get an upsetting message from someone, your chest tightens, you suddenly need chocolate or TikTok or something that will distract you. Maybe that guy who you know isn't good for you. And then you numb, and then you feel gross after, and you vow to do better. But then the next time you get a message that triggers you, you go right back into needing something to distract you. Then you numb. Then you're feeling the shame and you do it all over again. Now let's flip that. What does nourishing loop looks like? So there is a trigger. There is the awareness of that trigger. You pause, you breathe, you often seek support so that you can regulate and then you're able to reset. So that same message comes in. You feel it. You breathe. You stretch. You get up and move. You talk to a friend that gets it. You go for a walk. And when you come back, you're actually regulated, not wrecked. So, nourishing is about giving your nervous system what it actually is asking for before you feed it what is familiar. So, how do you replace numbing with nourishment? You can't just remove a numbing habit. You have to replace it with something your nervous system feels safe doing instead, right? So that's exactly why I gave you those breathing exercises. I told you to go out and walk, move your body, do something that is opposite of what you've been doing all this time. What you reach for versus what you might actually need. So if you have been stuck in a numbing loop, you'll probably reach for the social media, right? You might go on your phone and go on TikTok and get lost for 30 minutes. What you actually need is connection or a hit of dopamine, right? So instead of scrolling, try voice noting a friend, taking a dance break, or putting on a playlist that makes you feel like you. You may reach for binge eating. I know I used to. But what your body actually needs in that moment is grounding or comfort. So instead of eating, perhaps get some tea or some coffee, do some breath work, self massage, or stepping outside barefooted. That's an amazing way to get grounded. Letting your feet touch the grass, touch the ground. Another thing that we might reach for in order to numb is working endlessly. But what you actually need in that moment is control or escape. So try naming the one thing you can control: your breath, your posture, your pace. Those things are nourishing rather than numbing. You may reach for an axe or toxic situation. You go through a rough day and you reach out to that man that you know ain't no good for you. What you need in this moment is familiarity or validation. So instead of reaching out, try journaling a love letter to yourself instead. This is not about perfection, this is about practice. Every time you choose nourishment, you're teaching your body that I'm safe, that I've got you, that we're not stuck in that old loop anymore. So let's rewrite or rewire the way that you talk to yourself in those hard moments, because the words you choose are medicine. So here are some scripts to try when the urge to numb hits. I am noticing overwhelm and I don't need to solve it, just witness it. This tells your nervous system no one's dying, you're just feeling. Another script could be I feel discomfort, but I'm not in danger. This reminds you that this is not your past. This is just a moment. You might say to yourself, this emotion isn't a problem, it's a message, right? Curiosity is safer than control. You're allowed to get curious instead of suppressing your emotions. You may say to yourself, I've survived this feeling before and I can survive it again. So this anchors you in your power and not your panic. One last one is numbing is not bad, but it's not meeting the need. And that allows you to neutralize the shame so that you can redirect without spiraling. So I want you to grab your journal one more time. And I want you to consider this. When I reach for insert your numbing habit, whether it's scrolling, eating, just plain avoidance, what does my body actually need? And I want you to write this without judgment. Let it be messy. So, for example, when I reach for my wine at 6 p.m., maybe I really need to cry. Or when I binge Netflix, maybe I just want silence so I'm not filled with other people's needs. When I obsess over my to do list, maybe I just need permission to rest. I just want to remind you you're not broken for needing comfort, but let's find comfort that doesn't come at the cost of your connection to self. You don't have to numb what you made peace with. So, the more you regulate your nervous system, the less urgent the escape will feel. Your goal is not to never numb again. Your goal is to become so tuned in that you catch yourself in that moment and you choose nourishment instead. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. So, as we wrap things up, I want you to take a breath with me. Like, really take a breath. I want you to put your hand on your chest, inhale, hold it, exhale. And now I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time that you actually felt like you? Not the version of you people expect, not the one that keeps it together, smiles on cue, and knows how to survive a storm like it's second nature. I mean the real you, the one under armor, the one that still whispers, I want more. Sis, you have probably spent years numbing to survive. You've probably spent decades believing that rest was dangerous, that joy was for other people, that tears were a luxury that you could not afford. And it's time for you to come home to yourself. And that's exactly what we do inside of the Survival Mode Exodus membership. It's not just another program, it's not just more information. It's isn't about fixing you because you were never broken. It's about reconnection it to your body so that you feel again without fear, to your truth so you stop shape shifting for survival, to your voice so you start whispering when you were born to speak boldly and loudly, to your joy so that you can finally experience peace without earning it. Inside the membership, we walk through it all together. We have monthly coaching guide, monthly coaching grounded in nervous system safety and identity reinvention, tools like breath work and journal prompts and guided practices that help you regulate, reflect, and release. A private off social media community of women who get it because they've lived it, and real time support so that you're never left behind. This is not about perfection, it's about practice. It's about becoming the kind of woman that doesn't need to escape from herself to feel safe. So if you have been scrolling through life on autopilot, if you've mastered the art of numbing but functioning, if you are tired of being strong and ready to be free, this is your invitation. This is not just a membership. This is about finally stop running from your body and start returning to it, because you don't need to fight for freedom alone. You never you never were too much. You've never been lazy. You've never been broken. You have just been surviving. And now it's time to thrive. So I'm going to encourage you to either scan the QR code in on the screen or drop the word freedom in the comments and I'll reach out to you with the link. This next season starts with one brave, regulated yes. Let's disrupt survival mode for real. So that wraps up this week's training. Next week, will be the last training of the year. I will be here probably around the same time today because I'm also recording for Survival Made Disrupted Season 3, and that is taking up a lot of my time. But I will be back. We will be exploring another element of survival mode in hopes to give you the awareness of what you need to move beyond that. So be sure to join me as you are listening. I want you to drop your biggest takeaway from this training, your feedback to me, rather not in DM or in these comments, helps me create further training for you. Or you can email me at info@letitiareneefrancis.com. I am always open to feedback. I'm always open to have conversations so that I can create trainings that will help you move forward. And, I lived in survival mode for decades. And the reason why I do the work that I do today is to help other women recognize that survival mode is not the final destination. Thriving is. So thank you for joining me this week as we journey through what it means to numb versus nourish. And I hope these trainings are helpful. Go back to those questions that I gave you and really spend some time ruminating and being honest with yourself, because as you know, I say the first phase of accident survival mode is awareness. And that's why I give you these prompts so that you can sharpen your awareness to the things that you actually need to change. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. It's a pleasure showing up for you.